Hi, this is Josh Daniels, the Vice Chair of the Utah County Republican Party, and I'm just going to do a quick demonstration of the 3 steps that are necessary to get started for Caucus Night to use the new Voatz app. The 3-step process can be found at ucrp.voatz.com, ucrp.voatz.com. That's where everything starts. Step 1 is to pre-register for Caucus. So you click on the link to pre-register, and it's going to bring up a form. In the form, you just fill out your first name, middle name, if applicable, last name, your street address, your zip code. Then you're going to give your precinct designation. I'm just putting in some information, and it's obviously not accurate, but just to show you how the process works. Now, when you get to precinct, if you don't actually know the designation for your precinct, you can actually look it up on the Lieutenant Governor's website at vote.utah.gov. You can fill out your address. So let's say that my current street address in Saratoga Springs will tell me that I'm registered, well, that address is in precinct SR06, Saratoga Springs 6. So my precinct in Saratoga Springs is SR06. It might be different for you. So if you don't know your precinct, that's one way to look it up. So once you know what your precinct is, in this case I'll just go ahead and put SR06, even though this fictional data is based off of Provo. Then you need to find out your Utah voter ID number. This is a number that would be on your voter registration card. A lot of people don't have a voter registration card, and that's totally okay. If you go here to this link, vote.utah.gov, again, we were there just a moment ago, you have 2 options: search by address, all that's going to bring up is what precinct you're located in, or voter info over here, the second tab. That's where you need to go, voter info, the second tab. Click voter info, and you can actually put in your actual information. I'll go ahead and show you just for demonstration purposes my own name. And then you hit submit. Now it's going to show you your first, middle, and last name that's on file as your voter registration record. It's going to show the street address where you're registered to vote. It's going to show the precinct where you're registered to vote. And it's going to show here your voter ID number. This is a special 7-digit number that every voter has. It's a unique number that identifies specifically your voter registration record. It's the only way to identify you in the voter database as different from any other person that might have the same name. So all you're going to do is take that 7-digit number. You can copy it and paste it if you like, or you can write it down or remember it. Go back to the form in which you're signing up for registration, and go ahead and paste the number in under the Utah voter ID number. Then go ahead and put in your email address. And it's going to know if it's a real email address as to whether or not you have a .com or .org or something like that. Go ahead and put in your personal email address that you use. That's going to be required for activating your account on the mobile app. And then go ahead and type in your phone number. And it's important when you type in your phone number that you don't use any punctuation. Don't put a 1 in front of your phone number. Don't put any hyphens. Don't put any parentheses around the area code. Just type in the full 10-digit phone number with no punctuation. And then go ahead and answer the questions. So the purpose of the email and phone number is to activate your app. Okay. Now it is possible in the future some of this information will be used for Republican communications, and so it's important for the Republican Party to notify you about elections. So you can choose an option here. Yes, I agree to share my information with the Republican Party. Do you plan on attending the caucus meeting? Yes, I plan on attending. If you're unable to attend, you might select this so that you can receive specific information about absentee ballots. But I plan on attending the caucus in person. I hope that you do as well. Do you want to volunteer to help on caucus night? We'd like to get a list to get to the precinct chairs. If you're willing to help, go ahead and mark yes. Do you plan on attending a training session? This will help us to understand how many people might be needing some help. In my case, I've already attended one. I'm familiar with the app, so I'm not going to attend a training session. Have you downloaded the app yet? I actually have, but maybe in your case you haven't. So you might say no. And then you go ahead and hit submit. I'm not going to submit this data just because it's unnecessary data for the database. But once you hit submit, it'll take you to a thank you screen with a link back to the website ucrp.voatz.com. And that's step one right there. Pretty simple. That's basic caucus registration. Shouldn't take you too long. You can do it from a computer or from a mobile app. It's a very simple form with a few items of information. And that's step one. Then you go back to the ucrp.voatz.com website. You've finished step one and move on to step two. Step two is to download and install the Voatz app on your smartphone. It's available both in the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store. I'll show you what that looks like, at least from the web perspective. Here in the Apple App Store, you'll see there's an app called Voatz. It's also, the subname here is Voatz Inc. That's important because if you're looking in the App Store, you might notice a couple versions of the Voatz app. The one that you want, Voatz Inc., is linked directly from this site. So you could open up ucrp.voatz.com from your mobile phone using the browser on your smartphone, and you could link directly to the app that way, or you could look it up in the App Store and find this specific app here and go ahead and download and install the app. In the Android store, Google Play, it's the same. Again, it's the Voatz app from Voatz Inc. Here's a couple screenshots of what the app looks like on Android versus what it looks like on Apple. You'll notice on Apple there's kind of an image in the background. I believe that's the Boston Harbor. Spent some time there, and that's where the Voatz company is actually located. And you'll notice a couple of different features here. So when you download the app, part of step two is activating your account. So again, step one, pre-register for the caucus. Step two, download and install the app and go ahead and set it up. Step three, come to caucus night and vote. So once you've downloaded the app, you're going to see a couple of different features. So there'll be a process on the app to go ahead and activate your account. You're going to give the app your same cell phone number that you gave in your pre-registration. You're going to give your email address. You're going to set up a security identifier. Some phones support the use of a fingerprint or a picture as a security measure. If your phone does not have that feature, then you can pick a 6-digit PIN number. The app will also verify that your cell phone number really is the cell phone number tied to the app that you're trying to activate, and it will send you a special code via text message that you'll need to enter in order to activate the app. Once all of that process is done, you will now be set up as a user with a user account in the Voatz app. Now, some of you might notice, if you look in this image right here, that it says anonymous user. Some people, when they first register for the system, they will not yet be matched to the voter database. One of the things that happens when you fill out your caucus pre-registration form, this was the pre-registration form, once you fill this form out, the system will actually match your identity to your voter record using your voter ID number. So that when you go and activate the app, it links your voter registration record to your app account. That way you're verified as an eligible voter to vote in caucus. Once that process is done, the app will switch from saying anonymous user here in the top to actually showing your name. That process may take a few hours for the system to match that data. So if you'd like to speed that process up in advance of the caucus meeting, there's an optional step here useful tip is your app showing you as an anonymous user, or if you're not seeing any UCRP ballots, you can click here to get verified. So let's go through that process. Let's assume that you have pre-registered, you've downloaded and installed the Voatz app, and now you want to make sure that your voter profile on the app is verified. So if you go ahead and click to get verified, it'll bring up a web form here. And this web form is going to ask again for your voter ID number. So if you wrote it down or you remembered your voter ID number, you can go ahead and plug it in. Otherwise, you could go back to the vote.utah.gov website. Again, find your voter ID number. This is where mine was here. Voter ID number. Again, it's that 7-digit unique number. You could type in that voter ID number. Go ahead and type in your last name, the zip code where you are registered to vote or where you currently live, and search. What will happen is it'll bring up a QR code. That QR code will then be used here in the app to verify and to activate your account. So if we look here, some of the screenshots, you might actually be able to see where that feature is. That's the Android app, and this is the Apple app. In the Apple app, this doesn't actually show it right now, but there would actually be a little icon right over here above this red number 2. There would be a little icon with a QR code. If you click that icon, your app will open up a camera. And with that camera or scanner, you can go back to the web form where the QR code popped up, and you can scan the QR code. And that will actually speed the process of verifying your voter profile so that your Voatz app is active and ready to vote. And then if you're looking in the app, once you've logged in, again, this would not say anonymous user, it would have your name. You could then go here and click where it says elections. You see this red 2, that means that there are 2 different elections for which this user is eligible to vote. When you click the elections, you would then see a screen kind of like this, where it might show different specific elections that you can vote in. Over here in this screen, it shows you what your ballot options might look like. So if you were to choose, let's say, a city council race, in our case it would be precinct chair or delegate, then you would see the options to vote here. And these are actually rankable options. So in the Voatz app, you could say, well, Bob Kiss is my number 1, and you could click Bob Kiss's name. And then you could click the other candidates in order of your first preference to your last preference. This doesn't show the next screen, but the next screen after you would do that, at least in the Apple version, you could then drag and drop the names of these candidates. They would show up in a list, and you could drag and drop them to the top, bottom, or middle of the list based on which rank order you wanted them to be in. And once you get all of the candidates in the rank order that you want them to be in, you can submit your vote, and that's how you vote with the Voatz app. And then at the end of the vote, this screen here is showing how you could see results. In this case, this is a situation in which it was a single round of voting, and so you have the various vote breakdowns and percentages. In the case of an optional, in the case of a rank option, under ranked choice voting, the system would actually go through a runoff and identify which one person wins that race based on the priority votes that everybody cast. So this is just kind of looking at the iPhone version of the app. Looking over here at the Android version of the app, it's similar. The first screen that you would see would look like this. You would have your name up here. If your name shows up, then it means that your account has been verified. Again, here under elections, it would tell you whether or not there are any active elections to participate in. The red dot indicates that there is an active election for which you can cast a ballot. Under organization verification, if you click there, it would show you which organizations you're a member of. In this case, you would be a member of the UCRP, Utah County Republican Party. That's the organization designation for caucus night. This screen shows you what it looks like once you've submitted a vote. It's telling you that your vote was accepted. And this screen shows you what it looks like when you look at vote results within the Android app. Similar, a little slight difference, at least in the visual interface between the Apple and Android apps. Okay, so far in our checklist, we've done step 1. We've pre-registered for Caucus. We've downloaded and installed the app. Hopefully, we've also set up our account on the app by giving it our information, our verification, setting up the login account for the Voatz app, and connecting our voter record to that login using the useful tip here, getting verified if you're an anonymous user. The other thing that you can do once you've pre-registered for Caucus and downloaded and installed the app, and you've ensured that you're a verified user, is you can also nominate yourself for an office. So under here, optional, one of the steps is that you can go here to Caucus Nominations. Under Caucus Nominations, you can go ahead and put in your information. So last name first. So in my case, Daniels, Joshua. My address, Saratoga Springs, and my zip code. Okay, so now I have here my address listed in the official way in which the post office designates my address. However, I'm guessing that might be too much information for the system. We'll go ahead and try it, but keep in mind, it might, in some cases, less is more. So we go ahead and search. Okay, it didn't find me. The reason it didn't find me is because there's a little bit too much information in the address. So if I took out circle, we could try it again. No information found. We could take out the W, search again, and now I'm found. So remember, when you're looking yourself up on the nomination page, less is more when it comes to the address. If your name doesn't come up at first, simplify your address. In fact, I'll show you even a neat trick here. So it did correctly identify me. I'm in Saratoga 6 precinct. This is me. I can nominate myself for any one of these offices or all of them. I could say yes, precinct chair, submit my nomination, or vice chair and submit my nomination, or I could do precinct chair and submit, and then reset, come back, try it again, do vice chair as well, put my name in for vice chair, and put my name in for state delegate and or county delegate, etc. Now, if we reset this form, I just want to show you a quick trick. Let's use a short version of my name, Josh, and let's just put in 397, Saratoga Springs 84045. Look at that, it found me. It found me with a shortened version of my first name, and it found me with just the first 3 digits of my address. So keep that in mind if you're having trouble looking yourself up in the system. So that's how you nominate yourself for as a candidate for any of the offices on caucus night. Okay, going back to our home page here, again, ucrp.voatz.com. We've done step 1, we've pre-registered. We've downloaded and installed the app. We have nominated ourselves for some positions. We have used the useful tip to expedite the verification of your user account from anonymous to an actual voter by going to that specific web form. The last step, really, step 3, is we've got to show up to caucus night. And we can also attend, if you're having trouble and you need some more help or you want to ask questions, you can go to one of the user training and orientation sessions. These take place every day until caucus day at noon and 8 p.m. So there will be multiple sessions that you can attend if you have questions. But let's just look at what it looks like to try and find our caucus location. Again, this is going to take us to the vote.utah.gov site. Okay, this time it gave me a little error, but we know here that, so if you go here to search by address, find your caucus information right here. This is the same website you would use on election day for any normal election to find a polling location. So again, you could put in an address. In my case, I'm going to put in my address and hit submit. It brings up that I am in precinct Saratoga 6. It's going to show that my Republican caucus location is at Lakeview Academy in the lunchroom. So this data should be updated. The Lieutenant Governor got a new set of data from the state party just recently, so these locations should be updated. If they are not, the Utah County Republican Party has actually set up a special map that you can look at. This should be in an email. It's a special Google map. I will attempt to show it here. Well, I will find the link to the map. We've posted it on Facebook. We're going to be posting it to the website, and it should also be linked in a number of emails. It's just an alternative way for you to find your location or to see the boundaries for your precinct if you're noticing some incorrect information on the Lieutenant Governor's website. Maybe I'll create a short link that I can post in the video description to this map. So this map actually shows all of the precinct boundaries in Utah County, and then it also shows the specific locations of caucus meetings color-coded based on the legislative or state house district that the caucus meeting is located in. So again, if we zoom in to Saratoga Springs, in my precinct here, Saratoga Springs 6, you'll notice that like many precincts, Saratoga 6 doesn't have a little icon inside of it, and that's because our precinct meeting is not being held inside our precinct, but in a school nearby. But if you click on the precinct, it will show you over here on the left, Saratoga 6. That's the right precinct. I know that I live there. I can look myself up in the map and point to my house, and it tells me here that my caucus meeting is at Lakeview Academy in the lunchroom, which was what the Lieutenant Governor's website listed, and it gives the address. So then I could look up that address, or I could kind of look at the map and recognize that some of the nearby locations include Lakeview Academy right here. And if I click on Lakeview Academy, it will show over here on the left the list of precincts that are meeting there. Lehigh 13, Saratoga 1, Saratoga 6, and Saratoga 7. It tells me there are 4 precincts meeting in that building, that it's in Ledge District 2, Senate District 13, and Congressional District 4. So that's an alternative way to plan your attendance at caucus meeting and find your location, or to see locations for other precincts. So most of the precincts here for Utah County are in this data file and in this map. There are potentially a few very small precincts where few or no voters are located that might not have an actual shape on the map. I'll show you a kind of a unique situation here. In Vineyard, you've got some precincts that are very small and uniquely shaped. So for example, Vineyard 01 Split 2, and that is meeting at the Orem Junior High School. And they are actually meeting in conjunction with another precinct that has the same legislative district. So there are some odd precincts in the county, and if you're in one of those, you might pay careful attention to those boundaries. So that's a little bit about finding your caucus location. And that pretty much summarizes the basic steps for using the Voatz app and participating in caucus for the Utah County Republican Party. Just as a review, again, step 1, pre-register right here on ucrp.voatz.com. Step 2, download and install the app. and activate your account on the app. And step 3, we'll see you at caucus night. And if you're having any trouble, you can activate your account more quickly with this button here. Click here to get verified. If you're having trouble, feel free to join one of our sessions twice a day. And if you'd like to run for a position, you can do that in advance online. That will ensure that your name is in the list of candidates prior to caucus, and for all of the voters to see. You don't have to wait for the meeting or to be nominated from the floor. And I think that wraps it up for this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to join one of the sessions and ask the questions there, or reach out to an officer in the County Republican Party, either your precinct chair or legislative district chair, or myself or one of the other county party officers. Hope to see you at caucus, Tuesday, March 20th, 7 p.m. for most precincts. There's a few small ones meeting at 6. I will just say one thing about the activation or verification process. In some limited circumstances, some voters may have recently moved into the precinct. They may not be registered to vote at all. They may be registered to vote somewhere else in the state of Utah. They may not be a registered Republican voter. In those cases, their pre-registration record will show up in the database, but the pre-registration record will not match correctly to a voter record because they're not eligible to vote. So in that case, the voter app will not activate until an admin person, which is usually your precinct chair or somebody designated by your precinct chair, manually logs into the database to verify that you have actually updated your voter registration. So just as with any caucus meeting, when you show up and you're not a registered Republican or you're not a registered voter in the precinct, you're asked to fill out a new voter registration form on the spot and to register as a Republican in the precinct. Once your precinct chair or the assistant has verified that you've filled out that voter registration form, you are then credentialed and allowed to vote in the caucus meeting. The same is true here, only it's digital. So you pre-register for caucus, declaring your name and address. If it doesn't match against a voter file, then you need to fill out a voter registration form, deliver the voter registration form to your precinct chair or an admin assistant for your precinct chair, and they will then authorize your account so that your Voatz app and Voatz account are verified and activated for voting. So there's just an extra step for people that are not registered to vote in the precinct or not yet registered as a Republican, that you'll have to work with your precinct chair to verify you in the database. But that only will take place once you've filled out a voter registration form and you've given that voter registration form to the precinct chair. Then they're authorized to verify your account and activate your ability to use the Voatz app. And then when you show up on caucus night, you'll be ready to go. You can just show your app to the check-in clerk, who can verify that your name does show up on the app and you are activated and ready to vote.